Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to plunge into some fascinating sources and pull out the core insights for you fast and clear. Today, you've brought us a really intriguing question, actually, straight from Revelation. Where are the souls of these martyr witnesses, the ones crying out for justice? We're digging into Revelation 6, verses 9 to 11, and also chapter 8, verse 3, and we'll connect that back to Genesis chapter 4, our goal, to unpack what under the altar might mean symbolically, maybe literally, and, what it tells us about divine justice and creation itself. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, what's really compelling here is how these ancient texts, they connect a location, maybe symbolic, with a very deep-seated idea of justice. It offers a unique perspective.
It really does paint a picture, doesn't it? Revelation 6, verses 9 through 11. John sees the souls, described as psyche, right?
That's right, the life force, the soul.
Of those killed for God's word, for their testimony. And they are under the altar, and they're crying out loudly. The Greek is krasso, like a real desperate cry.
A very strong word, yes, a loud cry.
Asking for judgment on people on earth. How long, O Lord, until you judge and avenge our blood? But then, it's striking, they get white robes, and they're told to wait.
Wait just a little longer.
Until the full number of their fellow servants, their brothers and sisters who will also be killed, until that number is complete.
Exactly. So to really get the significance of under the altar, we need to differentiate the altars mentioned. There are basically two main ones. You've got the bronze altar outside the tabernacle. That's for burnt offerings, symbolizing, atonement for sin.
Okay, the bronze altar. Got it.
Then there's the golden altar. That one's inside in the holy place for incense, representing prayers going up to God. So the martyrs could be seen as under either one symbolically, but the distinction matters.
How so?
Well, look at Revelation 8, verse 3. An angel takes fire from the bronze altar, adds lots of incense, and brings it to the golden altar, right before the throne. This mirrors the Day of Atonement ritual. Fire from the bronze altar, sweet incense, offered before the mercy seat, which symbolizes God's throne.
Ah, I see. So their suffering, their cries are brought right into God's presence through this imagery. It connects the place of sacrifice with the place of prayer and God's throne.
Precisely. It's a powerful image.
Okay, so if we move from maybe a literal altar to this under the altar idea, there's a connection being made to something else, right? Something broader.
Exactly. The sources make this, quite surprising connection between under the altar and the earth. Think back to Genesis 4.10. Abel's blood, it cries out from the ground.
Right, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground.
And biblically, the idea is the soul is in the blood. So essentially, Abel's soul was crying from the earth, just like Abel's soul cried from the earth. The martyr souls cry from under the altar.
So under the altar is being used synonymously with earth, the place where they died, where justice is needed.
That's the suggestion, yes.
Yeah.
The very ground holds their testimony, their cry.
Wow. Okay, so if under the altar means earth, how does Hades fit into this? That feels like another big symbolic step.
It is, definitely. In this symbolic view, the earth itself is seen as a domain within what's called Hades. Now, Hades here isn't maybe the simple underworld people picture. It's more a spiritual realm linked to the consequences of sin, kind of like the bronze altar's purpose dealing with sin and sacrifice.
Okay.
And the ultimate fate of Hades. In Revelation, it gets thrown into the lake of fire. It signifies the total destruction, the end of sin, death, everything related to that fallen state.
The complete removal of evil.
Exactly. And interestingly, there's this imagery. The bronze altar is seen as being under the laver or the glass sea in Revelation, which represents purification, God's throne room area. So their cry for justice comes from this realm of sin and death, but it reaches up towards God's presence.
And you mentioned the waiting and the promise tied to it. Those white robes, they aren't just general salvation, right? They're specific.
Very specific. They're a guarantee. They signify purity, vindication, and specifically point to the first resurrection.
The first resurrection. Can you elaborate on that? Why is that distinction important?
Absolutely. It's crucial. Only those raised in this first resurrection who have these white robes, these spiritual bodies, they are the ones who enter the New Jerusalem in the final completed creation. And here's the thing. The sources suggest no one has actually experienced this resurrection transformation yet except Jesus himself.
So these witnesses, these souls under the altar, they're still waiting.
Still waiting for their numbers to be full, as the text says, and waiting for the final judgment, the judgment of what the sources call Satan Garat, basically, all forces and elements tied to sin.
Right. So connecting this to the bigger picture then, their act of witness, keeping the commandment even through death, That act proves the truth of the commandment.
Yes, their overcoming death becomes the proof.
And that proof is what triggers the final judgment, the cleanup, the annihilation of all the sin stuff,
Right.
leading to the completion of creation.
That's the framework presented. Their faithfulness becomes the catalyst, you could say. So their souls, within this understanding, are indeed seen as being in Hades, symbolically under the bronze altar, under the earth, awaiting that final cosmic culmination.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've journeyed through some pretty deep symbolic territory. Under the altar, as earth linked to Hades, this promise of resurrection, the white robes, the first resurrection, justice for those who bear witness, and this grand vision of creation finally being completed, it's about ultimate vindication.
And it leaves us with a question, doesn't it, for all of us to think about. What does this idea of overcoming death really signify in the whole sweep of creation? And how might understanding that perspective maybe shape how we view justice and completion in our own world where, let's face it, so many cries still seem unanswered?
Definitely. A journey from these ancient prophecies, these symbols, to a timeless understanding of justice and renewal. Something to really ponder.